Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. So as promised in my last video, I'm going to be testing out local models on this Mac Mini. This thing is awesome. I have been testing it for the last couple days and I have loved the results I'm seeing. Now obviously I'm testing this with some bigger models to really put this under load for this particular test, so it's not going to be as amazing as some of the stuff I have done throughout the week, but it's just to show you how much it can handle. So we're gonna push it to its brink and we're gonna see if we can break it. And we'll go ahead and we'll do some actual benchmark testing as well, just for those of you who care about that stat. And also, as a bonus, I found some local image generators that I am blown away with the quality that I can get from them. And they're running locally on this thing, and they run really well. So that is really cool because when I did the MacBook Air review, I tested that before I did the video and they were terrible. So, you know, what's that been? 4 months, maybe 6 months, I don't know exactly, but it's not been all that long since I did that review and we've come a long way since then. So let's get this thing in the Vision Pro, let's get the AI models fired up, and let's check out what this thing can really do. All right, so let's go ahead, let's hop in the headset here. Get this fired up and we'll go ahead and we will open up our control panel here. Let me start screen recording like I normally do. So I'll go ahead and show you what the AI that we're using is. So the one that I went up and tested is the Nematron 70 billion Instruct. So this is a new model that's out that uses Llama 3.1. And it was trained using, I think it's NVIDIA did this. So NVIDIA created this particular one. And you can test this model out here at huggingface.co/chat. If you don't have a computer that can run this, you can hop up on here. You can run commands, you know, ask it questions like who is the, president. So we'll go ahead and run that. So it's updated as of 2022, so it's going to give us that data. But again, you can test it out here, you can run stuff, and that just lets you play around with this particular model. You can also load other models up here too if you don't have the horsepower to do it locally. However, I do have this one downloaded, and I want to go ahead and also show you a few other ones here. So I've got the Hugging Chat here. That was the one we just did. Let me see here. Where is my, so on the image generation, we're going to be using Flux. Now this one is really, really good. And this runs using Diffusion B. So you can download this. It will launch the app. So you download it here. Now I did have to go and find version 2.5.3 to get this to work with Flux 0.1. And this is the Schnell. There's also a dev one, I believe, and that's in here. So you can go up here, you can see I've been doing the searching there. You can also use an app that is in the App Store called Draw Things, and that will also use the Flux dev. As you can see here, you can view the repo, you can download it in the actual Mac's App Store. And that's just gonna give you some, usability. Now, if you wanna test this out, or that's just gonna give you different ways to run this rather, right? So you can download this app, or you can use the one from the App Store, whichever one you're more comfortable with. Then you also can run the Flux 1.1. You can log into this site. It's foul.ai, and you can use the Flux model here. It's 1.1 Pro. Now they give you, I'm not logged in currently, they give you, I think, $1 in free credits, and you can run a couple commands. So you can run this, again, online if you don't have a computer that's beefy enough to do it. And as noted before, here is 2.5.3. You do want to make sure you download 2.5.3 or it will not run Flux. This is another one, POE or POE, depending on how you want to say it. This one, I believe, costs money no matter what you do, but it's another site that you can use the image generator that we're going to be using here. So I'll close that out here. Just want to kind of walk you through. I also always use Jan AI. I love Jan AI. It's super open source and really nice. We're going to be using that for the Nematron model and one other model that I'm going to test out. And then, of course, LM Studio. Again, it's nice. I love their interface. You can check those out. And as always, I have Llama downloaded on my Mac as well. So those are what I've basically done. So let's go ahead here and we will fire up the Geekbench thing here. So let me go ahead, click here to manually start the download. Let me go ahead and get that running. And actually, I may be able to see. I was going to say, it's already downloaded. It was right there in front of me the whole time. So I will go ahead and stop that download. But if you're going to do a Geekbench test, you can come up here to geekbench.com and you can download the Geekbench software onto your Mac and test it out. So I will go ahead, let me close this here. Also, I have to note, just kind of jump over here real fast, and I wish this wouldn't do that. I'm using the Blackmagic disk speed test, and you also can download NovaBench. So these are other ways that you can benchmark the computer, and if this interests you, you can do that. So let's go ahead, let's shrink that down. I'm gonna go ahead and run the CPU benchmark here, and we will see how long this takes. I do not know. I have a lot of stuff closed right now, so I am not running anything. That way it's getting the max, basically, ability, so it's not taxing the system, you know, using AI models, for instance, and then trying to run a Geekbench test. So I'm making sure that it's just going to run the Geekbench score. So I don't know how long it's going to take. It might take up to 3 minutes. If it does, what I will do is cut the video here. So here we are. We're almost done with this. It's uploading our results. So it'll go ahead and save those there. So our single core score is 3,820 and our multi-core score is 22,207. So that is pretty good. File compression, it gets all this. What I will do is I will save this document and I'll actually link it in the bottom of the video so that you can go and check it out. So let me go ahead and I'm going to turn this into, well, wait, that's not command, there's command. I will go ahead and turn this into a PDF and Geekbench M16, and I'll go ahead and do CPU here. So there we go, I've saved it, it's in my documents. I'll go ahead and put it on iCloud Drive, save it there, and I'll link that down in the description so you can check it out. So let's go ahead, let's run the OpenCL model on the M4 Pro. We'll run that, and I'll also run it on Metal. So we'll have both of those benchmarks to go on as well. So this is gonna probably be another 4 minutes. So again, this will be another cut point where I'll probably stop the video and, you know, show you the results afterwards. All right, so there, that finished up. Now this again was the OpenCL GPU API, and this was running the M4. That's what we tested there. So the OpenCL score is 68,895, and this gives you all your specs for the computer, of course. And again, we'll load this up, background blur, 120 seconds basically for images. Looks like that 119.8, sorry, images a second. So let's go ahead, let me save this again as a PDF, and I will note this in the bottom of the video. So we'll go ahead and save this as GPU and OpenCL. There we go, okay, and I will save that one. That's saved. Now let's go ahead and run the Metal score here. So we'll run that real fast. And again, we'll let this run, hop back in as soon as it's done. All right, so that finished there. The Metal score is 110,292. So again, seeing some really good numbers off of this here. Let me go ahead and save this here. So we have that as well. For that, let me go ahead and note this as Metal. And can I just say, I love the display here. You'll notice it's smaller. That's because I have it smaller and I actually have it pulled in a lot closer. Just because when it's so massive, I have to turn my head forever and a day and I'd be, you know, moving a whole bunch. So let me go ahead, we'll check the device here. Okay, so that's not gonna give me anything. So I thought there was a RAM test in here. That may have been a different test that I ran earlier. Let me go ahead and close this out, and I will go ahead and show you real quick here the disk speed for just, this is the internal SSD that's in here. So I'll go ahead and start that. So we are writing at 6,000 megabytes per second, and we are reading at 5,190 megabytes per second. So that is not bad. That is some really good read and write speeds. And I will hopefully screen cap this. In fact, let me go ahead and do Command Shift 4 here. I will screenshot this test here. let it get up there. There we go. And we'll go ahead and save that. I can throw that in the video as well. But there is your disk speed test. So that's kind of just a base test of everything that this can do. Now I have NovaBench. I'm not going to run that right now. But if you want to run it, you can download NovaBench and you can do that as well if that's maybe something that you prefer. This does do stress testing, bottleneck test. It does a lot more of your, more intricate testing, I would say. I do believe that the stress test here costs money, so that's why I'm not going to do it. But if you pay for it, cool. Okay, so let's go ahead here and let's open up LM Studio. In the past, you've seen me use it. I do love LM Studio here. You can see that I've got all my models here that I downloaded. So we're going to go ahead and open the 34 billion parameter one. That is the bloat Code Llama. We've used that in the past just to show you that it runs good. So we'll load the model up. And I'm going to go ahead and ask this particular model, how many R's are there in Strawberry? And let's see how it does here. Again, this is going to give you an idea of what what it needs. So there's 16 R's. So again, this is Code Llama. This is more for coding. So I probably should have given it the correct response. So let me go ahead and delete this chat here. Delete Strawberry. There we go. Poor Strawberry. I did love Strawberry. And let's go ahead and delete this one here. We'll start with a clean slate. Let's go to my downloaded models. So I will go ahead and load up, again, that 34 billion parameter model. I believe this one is fine for the RAM that I have. It's no problem. Now this is a coding model, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it some coding questions. So let's drop this in here. Write me a function in C that prints out the Fibonacci sequence. So we'll go ahead and have this go. And I mean, look at that. It's going to town. This is what this model's for, is for coding. If you were to do this with Apple Intelligence, this would direct you out to ChatGPT. But this is running local, and it's running really, really well. This is, again, a 34 billion parameter model running really nicely on this. So that's something really cool. I'll go ahead and let's see here, do the game of Snake in Python. So it's going to give me my output. I'll not run this right now. I don't have a code editor in here, but for those of you who are doing local stuff and don't want to go out to the cloud, this is a really good option. And I know I test this with every Mac, but it's because there are times where you just can't get out to the internet, or you're in a situation where you need maybe something like this. You need to ask a question, or you don't want your proprietary company stuff to get out on the internet. So this is something for that. So let's go ahead, let's build the game of Snake in Py, snake.py. Random int. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and do it. It's importing time OS. This is very similar to something that I actually ran earlier this week, so it's definitely working. So I'll go ahead and stop that. It will continue and run until it's done. I will go ahead and delete that. So let's go ahead and let's check out the one that I'm really, really intrigued by, and that is the Nematron. Now, this model is not recommended for this particular device. I believe it needs at least 120 gigs of RAM. If I remember correctly, it may be a little less, it may be a little more. I don't remember exactly, but I will load this up. So this is probably going to be slow, but I want to load it up and I want to see. Now, one thing I will note, you'll notice it's loading up here in the top of the screen. There is a bunch of settings that you can go in and tweak if you want, and over here, there we go. Well, it's loading, it won't let me do it right now. But when you go in here, you can tweak them. Now, I have tweaked them and actually crashed this. So I'm not going to tweak them. I'm going to leave it set as is, and there's the screen wigging out because it thinks I was touching the screen and trying to zoom in because I have 2-finger zoom on. This is going to take a little bit. You'll also notice down here in the right-hand side, so this is RAM 53.97 gigs of my 64 gigs, and my CPU is jumping all over the place. But there we go. We are loaded up. When the CPU is at 0, that lets us know. So let's go ahead and let's ask it how many R's are in the word strawberry. Now, this is supposed to be a really hard question for AIs to answer. I believe they'll give you 2. They'll give you a whole bunch of different responses. But that is something that this particular model, and run locally, this particular model answers with no problem. It will take a second. I have run this. You'll notice my CPU is at 354%, 134%, 88%. So it's definitely way, way more intensive than what this, or this AI model is way more intensive than what this little machine is supposed to handle. But it's handling it. This is an interesting response. I've seen this answer the question, so I'm very interested. A sweet, and I'm assuming it's going to say strawberry. I've seen this particular model answer that question. And in fact, while this is running, I'll hop back over here to the web browser here. Let me actually, hold on. I can open this. I cannot open that because I closed them all out. Way to go. All right, let's go up here to my history, rather bookmarks. We'll scroll down to the bottom here, all the way to the bottom, Nematron, and I will go ahead and open the Huggy Chat. I call it Huggy Chat, Hugging Chat. So I can run this here, and there you go. See, that's the output I expect. This may be having a little bit to do with the fact that I'm running it on a machine that it's not meant to be run on. It did still running. That is impressive. So says a sweet question, a simple yet fun question. So honestly, that looks fairly similar. So if I put these side by side here, this is running on definitely a machine in the cloud somewhere that's got the horsepower to do it. That's why it spit it out so fast. But you will notice a simple yet fun question. This is a sweet question, so they're very, very similar. However, this will run until it's done, and this is going to take forever. But you can see that at 70 billion, it is able to run it. It definitely is not crashing it, which is honestly impressive. I believe that 70 billion crashed my M4 iPad Pro, which to be expected. I believe it also crashed the M3 MacBook Air with 24 gigs or 20 gigs of RAM. I don't remember which one that had on it off the top of my head. I think it was 24. And that was something that I kind of did that intentionally because I wanted to see how far I could push it. But 70 billion, I mean, no, it's definitely not running this fast. So this is something that if you had a question, you wanted to run this model, you definitely would have to just set it, leave it, go do something else. And honestly, you don't want to do too much else because you don't have a lot of resources left over at this point. I mean, I'm topping out at my CPU real close to max right there, and over max in some instances. But that actually looks identical right there. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say that it will run this if we let this run, and it would answer this question. I'm really surprised about that. So let me go ahead. I'll actually leave that running. I believe that can run in the background there, and it can. So I'll go ahead and leave that running here. We have the LM Studio Nematron here running. Let's go ahead and ask it like a more complicated question. So let's ask it, who do you love more, your parents, your spouse, or your dog? Just see what that does. Also, we'll note that that is topping out at 134. I probably should not ask that question right now, just because it's going to do that. So I'll go ahead and stop this here, because I think, yeah, failed to send message. Yeah. So there we go. That will run. That is really cool. That's a 70 billion parameter model running on this little Mac Mini. And this thing has not turned on the fans once yet. So we're sitting up at 300% of the CPU at times, and the fans have still not kicked on, or at least I've not heard them. But I want to see if I can crash this. So I am going to go ahead and open up. Now that was the 74 gig model. That is the big model here. Right there, that's a decent size model. You can, I forgot about this. I did download a smaller model, and this model is actually compatible with the with a Mac, with this particular Mac spec. So you'll notice right here, I'm at 5 gigs of RAM, 11% of the CPU. So you can run this model in a smaller form, because they have different sizes, and the different sizes in, in basically how big the model is, how it needs more RAM to run. It's kind of how I've always looked at it. So if it's a 74 gig download to put it on your computer, you're gonna need a decent amount of RAM. This is, what did that come out to? 37 gigs of RAM. So not quite half, but real close. But look at that, we're only at 34 gigs of RAM. So let's go ahead, let's see if this model can run it real fast. I'll show you a demo of that and see if it will run it a little bit faster. There we go, look at that. So This is a smaller download. This is on Hugging Face. You can get this, and it is answering this question really, really fast. So if you don't have a really souped up, and even this, you know, I'm thinking 35 gigs of RAM, so, you know, you've got to have at least that to run it. But I mean, look at the CPU jumped up there to 247%. But there it is. I mean, it answered the question, really cool, but we haven't crashed it yet. So we got to try that. So I have 120 billion parameter here, and this theoretically should completely destroy. In fact, I may have just destroyed, nope, oh, there we go. All right, so it's gonna go ahead and it's gonna load up there. Let's go ahead and see if we can crash. This is at 21 gigs of RAM, 10% GPU. I have not loaded this model ever. This is the first time loading this. I don't even know if this will load. Another thing, the reason I'm using the Vision Pro right now is in my previous test with the iPad Pro and the MacBook Air, I did screen recordings and I would lose so many screen recordings and it takes so long, and the Vision Pro will just record for me and it doesn't, if I disconnect from this, it still is recording. So that's another reason that having a headset's really nice. So it looks like it loaded up. I'll go ahead and ask it a coding question, and we're only at 42 gigs of RAM. And look at that CPU, 900%, man. Okay, I'm impressed. When I downloaded this, it said this would not run on this machine. And that is a 120 billion parameter model running on this. Wow, that is impressive. I don't know if it's exactly accurate. I feel like it's printing some of this wrong, but the fact that it's running is nuts. I believe in my test again with the M1 or the M3 MacBook Air, this model, it may have been the bloke that just, it crashed it. It shut it down. So you will notice, I mean, my CPU is 400%, 300%. It is holding at that. But man, these models are getting really, really good for running locally. I mean, and that's part of what I want to test here is Apple has obviously given us machines that are meant because of Apple Intelligence to run more locally, quote, quote, for Apple Intelligence, but Apple Intelligence has its limits. It's more of kind of, you know, your personal assistant. It's not really for stuff like coding or other stuff. So, I mean, I don't think this is exactly accurate, but it is running, and that is really, really cool. So let me go ahead and I will give it the R's question. Is 120 billion parameter model. Again, I have never tried this. I'm really impressed that it is even running this. I'm honestly blown away. I did not think this would run. I mean, only thing is, I guess if I look over here, it's a 44 gig model. Maybe it's just not quite as big as I thought it was when I downloaded it, but because when you use LM Studio or LLM Studio, it'll actually tell you not recommended for your machine. And I think I've shown you that in the past, and this did not say that. I mean, rather, this said that. This said it is not recommended for your machine. Don't download it, it won't work. And I mean, there's 1 R, so it got that wrong. So that's kind of what the old model AIs used to give you before that Nematron, and I believe it's, what is it? GPT-01 preview answers that question correctly. So that is really cool. Those are those AI models. I didn't crash this time. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and see if I can crash it, because I honestly did not expect this to make it through this 120 billion parameter thing. I expected to crash it in the video. I'm somewhat disappointed, but I really expected it to lock up and shut down. So I'll go ahead, we'll close that out, and I am going to show you the last thing in here, and that is the image generation, the stuff you can do locally. And I'm gonna open up this app here. I told you it's Draw Things. You can download it from the Apple App Store. So I will go ahead, I'll just show you. So this was one of the images that I generated with this. Just gave it a random prompt and it generated this image. And I know probably in the Vision Pro it's not coming through, but this is sharp. I have seen this on a computer monitor. I have seen this on, in the Vision Pro clearly right now, and it is sharp. It's good. And so let's go ahead and let's create a new question here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Look down here, and I'm going to give it generate a portrait of showcasing. So I'll go ahead and go over here. There we go. Now I didn't tell it any specs or anything like that, and let's go ahead and let it run. Now, what you will see here is it does this really cool like filling in every pixel, but this will go through and this will create the image. And this is doing this locally. This is not connected to any API. This is not reaching out to the internet. And that to me is just insane. I really cannot believe that we are at a point where locally on a computer, we are generating some decent images. Now, this is going to take a second. It definitely is not something that is fast. But again, you're generating an image. Like, I'm giving it a prompt. I'm using, I believe this is using Stable Diffusion. And if you're familiar with that, Stable Diffusion is one of the better image generators out there. But again, it's running it locally. And this particular model is the Flux 1. I believe it's actually Flux.1. Flux 1.1, I believe, Pro is a paid model, and I couldn't get this downloaded, but the one I'm currently using works, just fine. And I mean, look at this. Yes, it's definitely an AI image, and it's definitely not giving us photorealism, right? But this is running locally on my Mac Mini, doing a really good job. And hold on a second. I just got the fans to kick on. So generated an image, I now have the fans on this Mac Mini. But that is the first time, I've done this a few times, that is the first time I've ever heard the fans kick on for this Mac. And that is really, really good. And there you go. So again, I didn't give it, there's more detail I could give it. I could make it more realistic. I could, give it more info, but I mean, honestly, the lighting on the side of the face, the shadows over here, with more prompt engineering, this would actually be a decent image. Let me go ahead and show you the other app real fast. As we wrap up the video, Diffusion B, I do like both apps for different reasons, and I highly suggest you check them out. This is the Schnell version, or Snell, I don't know how you say that word. Anyway, that's that version. But you can go in here and you can do a whole lot of things with this app. But this is the one that comes off of the App Store. So this is Draw Things. However, Diffusion B is an awesome app. There is text to image, image to image, upscaler on this thing, and you've got Flux built in. You can do video on this. So I can open this up here. Now you want to make sure that you do like the start and stop. So if I just did this and did that, invalid seed start, right? Okay, so I got to at least start a seed. There we go. Let's go ahead and start there. And I'm just doing this. So this will generate a 40 image, basically Shutterbook or whatever it is, video. And you can do this locally. Now, yes, I'm not going to let this run. It will, but I mean, look at that. It gave me New York, just letting you see that. And it's a decent little animated clip, right? Again, generated locally on this Mac Mini. It's nuts to me. So I'll go ahead and stop that because I'll show you what I mean by the Schnell version or the Flux version, I believe. So I can choose the dev. So I'll go ahead and show you the dev. We haven't shown that yet. But what I like about Diffusion B is I can come in here. It's a lot more user-friendly. I can tell it how many images I want it to generate. Obviously, the more I generate, the more time it will take to do it. I can come down here. It's a lot more, I can enhance it. I can say, okay, actually, let's say photographic, diffusion style, seeds. I mean, I can come in here and get really fine-grained, and that was all, or I mean, that was popular, but you can go to all and check this out. I've got digital art, neo, pixel art, 3D images, retro game. I mean, it's really, really cool. Let's go ahead, and while it's generating that one, I'm gonna go ahead and say one image here. And let me go ahead and do this. And let's go ahead and add that to the queue. And then that way, actually, I'll go ahead and stop all. Because that definitely didn't work. I mean, I guess you could say it's a sunset. I don't know that, anyway. not correct. So if you generate one image, it's a lot faster. It definitely, also the resolution. I've bumped the resolution all the way up. If you change the resolution, obviously you get an image quicker. If you do more cartoonic style, anime, whatever it may be, you can get an image quicker. If you go photographic, it's gonna take more time. Everything you do here obviously adds to the processing of the image. But while that's running, I'll go ahead and show you. So here, this is the history in this app. It shows you your prompt, what you gave it. I typed in a sports car driving down the road in the Midwest. You know, there's mountains back there. It's not too far off. It's on the wrong side of the road, but we'll let that slide, I guess. Also, it's a Corvette. Those taillights don't look exactly right for that vehicle, and that's definitely a, you know, EU style plate, not a US plate. So I don't know, a little off. But this is what got me on this one. So I'll open this image here. Check this out. Let me pull this in here. So AI has a real hard time with fingers. And I told that the prompt for this particular one was a girl holding a sign that says welcome on a busy street. The other thing that AI has a problem with is words. Check this out. That is a perfectly spelled out welcome sign. She has 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Her thumb would be logically behind that board holding it up, right? It's a little weird, but honestly, someone might hold the sign that way, and I am impressed that it did not add fingers. Now, I say that, and I'll show you this one just to go ahead because I did 3 of these. This gets a little weird. Honestly, the first one was the best. That was the one I showed you, and then it kind of went downhill from there after it generated it. I believe it's this one where she has 5 fingers. So I got 1, 2, I got 3, 4, yeah, I got 5 fingers there. So somehow her thumb became a, you know, index finger, I don't know. But that is just still really, really good for a local model. Again, this is run locally on my Mac Mini. Again, this was just me testing it initially. I said a bird. I didn't give it any kind of detail. I just said a bird. And I mean, you know, it gave me a bird. And it messed up a little bit here on the feet and stuff and weird positioning, but honestly, not terrible. I want to see this work. I want to see this work, and go ahead and pull that out a little bit. It's a little close for me. I was trying to bring it in. Hopefully it's a little clearer the closer it is for you, because for me right now, this is tack sharp, but obviously I know on the headset and when I get to the screen recording, it's not as sharp. So you notice I down the quality, and look at that. I mean, it ran it a lot faster. I am running the Schnell version. And let's see if it'll, there you go. Look at that. So again, that is running locally on my Mac. No outside sources required except for the model and this program. That is just super, super, super cool. I love this. I cannot say enough about this, how much I love this, the fact that I can do it. And I know we've got Apple, where is it? Oh, there it is, the Image Playground. We've got the Image Playground, and we can fire it up. And I mean, there's, to give you an idea, so this is what Apple decided I looked like. And we have that, or if we go back over to Draw Things, which I guess I closed it out, and it probably took it away. Let's see here, where's Draw Things? I can't see sometimes. There it is. So, I mean, it's still cartoonish, but this definitely looks more like a person than this. So this is Image Playground from Apple, and this is Draw Things running Flux 0.1. I prefer this. This is way, way better quality than what Apple has given us, honestly. So definitely check these out. Again, that's Diffusion B, and that is Draw Things running the Flux 0.1 Snell and Dev models. These are image generation models. You can get these over on Hugging Face. You just got to go up there, create an account. You can pull them down to your computer, and as long as you've got a decent amount of RAM and a decent GPU, you should be able to do it. And I really am impressed with it, I gotta say. And I didn't crash the computer. I'm disappointed. So let me go ahead, let me end my screen recording here, because I always forget to do that. So I'll go ahead and stop there, and we'll close that out. We'll pop this off. So that is local models running on this Mac Mini. I am so blown away by what this thing can do. It is a powerhouse for the size that it is. For comparison, I mean, my MacBook Pro behind me is running 96 gigs of RAM. And yes, it can handle a lot of what this can handle. In fact, probably everything I've thrown at this so far. But that machine costs $6,000. So for comparison, this costs about $2,000-ish. I forgot the exact number, but this is around $2,000. So, I mean, that's a third of the price to run a lot of stuff. And I will definitely throw the benchmarks down in the bottom of the video. I'm blown away. I really expected to crash this. This is the first Mac I have not been able, or Apple product really, I've not been able to completely at least shut down the app. But hey, I'm running local models at 120 billion parameter. Now, again, that one was definitely not as good as Nematron. Definitely check out Nematron. It is really, really good for a local model. And if you get the smaller one, you can run it with, like you saw on the video, on the headset, 33 gigs, 35 gigs of RAM. So this one definitely handles it with no problem. So it's awesome. And then running local image generation, I mean, you don't need to go out to Firefly anymore or Journey or any of those. I mean, you can do it locally now. That is so insane to me because not more than a few months ago, I couldn't get these to work good, let alone give me an image that I actually would consider using. It's just that's nuts. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. I plan on doing more videos in the future, maybe not necessarily with just this, but other stuff. I love testing out AI. I love testing out computers and seeing what they can handle and pushing them to their limits. I didn't get this one all the way to its limits, but you know, that's actually really, really cool. So again, hope you enjoyed the video and we will see you in the next video.